Hello, today is March the 28th, 2013. My name is Nancy Nolan Jones, and I'm the community researcher for the Case Western Reserve Social Justice Institute Oral History Project. And we are here today with Delilah Bell Fowler, who has graciously agreed to give us an oral history interview. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yeah. So, we like to start off by just asking you to give us some history about yourself and your family.
Wow.
Tell us, you can start off by maybe giving us your birth date and where you were born and, how life was for you up to East Cleveland days and in East Cleveland days, because you have some family history here.
Yes, I do. I have an aunt and uncle who lived in East Cleveland, Lottie and George Wagner, and they used to live near the corner of Euclid and Elbon, a couple of doors down from there, and I guess a little beverage store right across the street, and used to spend quite a bit of my summers over there. And I don't know at what age they moved on Windermere, but we moved on Windermere, and that's kind of where we hung out at for the summertime and had a lot of fun.
Really?
Spent a lot of time over there. And
you were young, like elementary school?
Oh yeah, little bitty thing, little bitty thing. And that's kind of my beginnings in East Cleveland. I lived on 116th and Way Park, so that's right down the street, right down the street from Lakeview Cemetery, and that's where I was, raised up at in that community. And so we actually could walk, under the bridge over into East Cleveland. So I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. I have 3 brothers, and I'm the only girl. So of course I'm spoiled, I'm the favorite niece of the family, just ask me. Yeah, life was good.
Yeah.
Life was good, yeah.
Tell me about your parents.
My parents, well, my father is deceased. He had a brain aneurysm. He's been dead for about 11 years now. So my mom, mama's mom, wonderful. She's
What
a
was it like
singer.
growing up with them?
But my parents,
In the household with 3 brothers and the only girl. Which ranking are you?
I am second oldest.
Okay.
So being the only girl, of course I was spoiled, daddy's little girl. And I remember the family vacations, I remember going to the drive-in as a family. I remember Clint Eastwood. I loved Clint Eastwood, I remember the shrimp boat. Remember the shrimp boat with those, they love the footlongs, and I love the shrimps. They do not make those shrimps. Remember the shrimps with oh my goodness, I can't find them anywhere. But that was my favorite. And I remember I used to go to the parks on, what is that, Martin Luther King Boulevard. Used to have the park with the swings, and you can park over there, and you could get out and you could swing. And I remember going to the Browns games, when the Browns were the Browns. And in the wintertime, with our blankets and my uncles, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And back then, you could walk the streets, and you could leave your doors unlocked, and if you cut up, your neighbors could spank your legs, and you knew when you got home you was gonna get your legs spanked again, and you had to be home when the street lights, or before the street lights came on, and Dad was the disciplinarian. Your mother, if you did something, your mom would say, "We wait till Dad get home," and if Dad gave you the look, and you knew what the look was, you straighten up, and if he said your full name, Delilah Patricia Bell, you knew life was over. So you had to hurry up and think about what you did. And if you knew what you did, you had to figure out what in the world you was going to do so you wouldn't get in trouble. And that's kind of how it was. And those were the good old days, and that's kind of the way that I raised my boys. You know what I mean?
Did the family eat together?
Oh yeah, we ate dinner together. You know, went on vacations together and went to the park together. Like I said, went to the drive-ins together, and so, you know, it was the good old days.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school. I started at Longwood Elementary School, Kennard Junior High School, East Tech, yeah, East Tech, and then I went to John Hay. Graduated early, went to Kent State University, and
What year did you graduate from high school from John Hay?
I graduated in 1975. And I went to John Hay to take a couple of courses so I can get out early. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
was that when John Hay was like an all-girls school, or it
no,
had switched by then?
It had switched by then.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to Kent?
And I went to Kent State for about a year. I believe I had just arrived before the shootings had happened, I believe. And came back home and ended up moving to California for about 3 years, I think. And
Really? What part?
San Francisco.
How was it?
It was cold, and it rained every day. And I was expecting for it to be, you know, sunshiny, the beach and all that, and it not in San Francisco. But I didn't know, you know. But there are 3 years, and I came back home, took care of my mom, and I really didn't realize that, you know, me going away, I didn't realize that my mother was here, and that the distance, you know what I'm saying? It just didn't never dawn on me. You know, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to San Francisco. It's going to be beautiful. I didn't realize the distance that was going to be away from the family. And just one day when I came home, it just hit me that my mother was here, you know, and I went back home, and like within 1 week, I was back.
Really?
I went back, and I went and got a U-Haul trailer and packed up my stuff. And
You drove there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. Drove right on back here, and been here ever since. And there's no place like home. No place like home.
Did you all go to church in Cleveland? Did you have a family?
Oh yes,
church?
let me get this right. My great grandmother actually was one of the co-founders of Providence Missionary Baptist Church. They used to have church service in her living room. Mm-hmm. Providence Missionary Baptist Church, which meets on Kinsman.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Really? And they met in her living room?
They met in her living room, and that was on 69th and Kinsman. And our family still owns that house today. And so my grandmother then moved there, and now my cousin now owns the house. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But that's where we started, and then I went to Harvest Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Chapman baptized me, and that was our church for a long time. And then my aunt, Janice Newborn, became choir director at St. Philip's Christian Church, which was on 30th. And so we all went there to support her, and we had our family choir because my mother and her brothers, they all sung in the family choir. They were known, the Ladd family choir, known throughout Cleveland to sing. They all sung. And so we went there to support her, and so our family choir was there. My father and my mother's, well, not my uncles, they all had a choir, not a choir, a singing group. And I could not think of the name for, right now, but they sung, and they competed with groups like the Temptations and some of the other groups, and I have some of their pictures where they were really, they were up there. Wow. They were really, really good. And so singing is in my family blood. You know, my brothers can sing, my mothers can sing, aunts, cousins, everybody can sing in our family. You know, everybody.
Did you have big family gatherings like at Christmas and on holidays? And did they sing?
Oh, we sing all the time. I mean, my brother walks up and down the street and sings. He sings. He goes to funerals and sings. In nursing homes and sings. And yes, they sing. And
musical family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so that's been wonderful for us. And every Christmas holiday season, when we go to the bowling alley, all the family, and we go bowl. when we would videotape it. I have videotapes of us bowling every year at Christmas time. We would go, and so we had our family reunion last year at, what is that place? Near Cedar Point. I can't think of the name of it. And they just sent me an email, too. One of those water parks, Great Wolf Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do family activities.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And we have a planning meeting every month to plan for our family reunion. And so next year, we're going on a family cruise. Nice. So we're close as a family. Yeah, Thanksgiving, we take turns of meeting in different places, you know. And so every Thanksgiving, we have a potluck. Everyone brings a dish, and we meet as a family.
Wow,
mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So tell me, so you have your immediate family. You've grown up now,
mm-hmm.
and so now you're starting your family. Tell me about that.
My family. I've been married for 10 years now, mm-hmm. and my two sons are where in Atlanta. My oldest son, both of my sons went to the service. Let's start off there. Okay. Went to the service, and I come from a military family. All of my uncles and my mother's brothers were all in the military. So in my mother's home, we have what we call a wall of heroes. And the entire wall of all of our family who were in the war. And I don't want to get choked up. And it's really beautiful. And we only lost one. The war was over. World War II was over. And I guess everyone did not get the word. And he was on his way home. And they killed him because they didn't know. We're assuming they didn't know. So I have my uncle's Purple Heart, which my grandmother gave to me to keep. And so he's the only one that didn't make it home. But it's an entire wall full of. And so all of my grandmother brothers, all of my mother brothers, my sons, you know, all of them. So my oldest son went to the service. My youngest son went first. And 6 months later, my oldest son went. And they just didn't want me to fall out and just, have a heart attack. So they broke it to me gently,
What did they say? How did they tell you?
Well, I really wasn't for them going into the service. They would call my house all the time, and I would be like, "You're not getting my sons." I would tell them, "You're not," and I would hang up the phone. And really, their incentive was for them to go to college, because they had the student loans and they went to college, and it adds up and it adds up, and they both had jobs, and they was like, "You're not really getting anywhere. You're not," you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so they decided they would join the service. The service would pay off their students' loans and give them money to go to college. And so this is why they went in. So my oldest son is now a firefighter, search and rescue in Atlanta. And my youngest son is still in the service. He's going for 20 years. He's been there for, I think, about 13 now. He is a senior first sergeant in Atlanta, and just doing simply wonderful.
So you had the two boys? The
two boys.
Okay.
And then don't let me leave out my third son. My husband has a son, which is my son. And he also, bless his little heart, is in the National Guard and is working and going to school. So, yeah, so the same thing, to pay for his education. So both of my boys are doing really, really well.
I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, they really are, and it's really a miracle because both of my sons have been to Iraq. The youngest one has been there 3 times, and both of them was over there at the exact same time. And I really had to trust God. You know what I mean? I really just had to trust God that they were going to be all right. My family started calling Washington because they really felt like, well, both of them being over there together, and that was all the boys that I had, that they couldn't do that. But they weren't drafted. They volunteered to go. You know what I mean? And I just had to. I detached away from the news. I had started collecting the papers. And I said, well, I'll read it when it's over with. And I didn't realize when 911 happened what was going to happen. And people kept calling me and saying, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And I didn't understand why everyone was calling me. And I guess they knew it was, but I didn't, you know. And finally, when it happened, I started collecting the papers, and I said, "You know what? I'll wait till it's over with, then I'll read them." And one day, the papers got taller than me, you know. And I said, not that I'm very tall, but, you know, and I just finally just threw them all away. And I just prayed, and I wouldn't watch the news, and I wouldn't sit around people that would talk about it. You know, I just detached, and I just gave it to God. And the boys came home. And that's nothing but a miracle, because we lost a lot of our young people over there. You know what I mean? A lot of them. And so, you know, I prayed to God, and, you know, God will do for us what we can't do for ourselves. And I'm grateful. And I believe in grace and mercy. You know what I mean? And so it's something else. And I have a 2-year-old grandson, my only little grandson. And he was, well, he's not 2 now. He's 5. But before, at the age of 2, he was diagnosed with Wilms tumor. And the doctor said, "How in the world could you see a tumor this little?" It was so little. It was the smallest tumor they had ever saw. And his mother said his urine had begun to change color. So she made an appointment to see the doctor. And they called me up and said he had to have surgery. And I was out of here. And they had to take out one of his kidneys, you know. Because it was cancerous, and they couldn't cut it out because it was in the middle. But I'm glad they didn't, because it could have still spread it, you know. And he's 5 years old now. You know, he just went yesterday for his ultrasound, because they was, you know, and he's doing fine. He's doing fine. So he's been cancer-free for like 2.5 years. So, you know, cancer is gone, thank God. You know, grace and mercy. You know, a miracle. You know what I mean? I believe in miracles all the time. Yes. So, you know, God is good.
Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful family you have.
Yeah.
What a beautiful family you have. And the spiritual foundation that's there has certainly carried you all through the ups and the downs.
Yes.
Through all the ups and downs.
Yes.
Well, you know, just getting to these questions, the next one would be your earliest memories of East Cleveland. So, you know, you told us about your aunt and uncle moving to Windermere. How did the community seem to you during those days? How can you visualize? Can you describe to me what you saw?
Friendly, warm, and you could go outside and, you know, to talk to the neighbors, go get lemonade, cookies, sit on the porch, play with the other kids. I mean, it was a community. It was love. It was support. You know, pretty much probably like all of the communities back then. You know what I mean? Warm and friendly. I think that the hard times have taken a toll, you know, on this community. But the love and is still there. You know what I mean? The warmth is still there. If I go over Aunt Lottie's house right now, there are neighbors that still look out for her. Do you know what I mean? But a neighbor across the street that looks out for her, the neighbor a couple doors down that will see about her. I'll have one that'll call me and say, "You know what, we haven't seen." You know what I mean? It's still there. It's still there. It is.
It's really beautiful. I think that's what I hear the most about the city. You know, that the people are still really loving people.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that it's taken its toll, and so the question is, in what ways has the city changed over time? So when you say it's taken its toll, could you kind of unpack that for me?
When I say it's taken its toll, when we lost a lot of jobs, so there's a loss of jobs, a loss of retail. You know, a lot of people have moved out of the neighborhood. We have a lot of abandoned homes, buildings. We have a lot of establishments that sell alcohol, you know, almost on every street corner in a community this small really shouldn't be.
So the second part of that question is, what do you think contributed to those changes? So that might be one of the ways. Can you think of some more ways that have contributed to this change?
Well, of course, the introduction to drugs. You know, drugs changed this nation. It changed the nation. It changed every community. You know what I mean? It really did. And you know, I don't want to say that it was brought here on purpose to do what it's doing. I don't want to say that, but that's kind of like what I believe. And I really don't think they intended it to slap them back in the face. You know what I mean? But it did. You know, and it's sad to purposely, I mean, how can you just want to hurt or want to destroy something that you don't even know, or someone, or a whole population, or a whole, you know what I mean? How? You know, a whole community, people that's not even born yet, you want, or a whole, it's, you know,
Mind-boggling.
oh my. You know, it's like, what can you compare it to?
So drugs far worse than the alcohol in every corner, or all of the above?
I would say that the drugs move a lot faster and a lot more dangerous. Now, we know they both kill, and they both will end you up in the same place, but with drugs, it comes a lot more danger. There's a lot more danger involved, you know, a lot more danger involved.
So that just really changed the culture.
Change the culture, because people will, you know, a lot of money involved with drugs as compared to alcohol. You know, a lot of fast money, just it's a whole new, it's a whole different atmosphere, a whole different type of animal, you know. And I mean, you got these young kids out here now. Young kids, whereas it used to be the old timers, you know, players or whatever they used to call them, you know, they thought they was cool, you know, the little waves in their head or whatever, you know, old schools. And now you look out here and you see a baby out here, young kids, you know, and it's...
Would you say that, how would you say racism has impacted you personally? And then maybe the city of East Cleveland.
Impacted me personally. Where I'm sure that that it has probably stopped me from getting jobs that I shouldn't have gotten.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us about any of them? You don't have to.
Yeah, probably shouldn't. You know, it's like, just gonna give you an example. I was working for an agency, and they brought me in to do a job, and I was excellent, you know, and they were amazed. And they wanted me to train a Caucasian to do what I was doing. And what would be the need of me training her to do my job? And then they wanted to know how was I doing what I was doing. I was like, I don't know, I'm just doing it. You know what I mean? And I had cleaned up such a mess that they had had for years that they couldn't believe it. and I wouldn't tell them how I was doing it. You know what I mean? I'm just doing it.
You didn't train the next person that they asked you to train?
Yeah, because I already knew what they were going to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? No.
So you were, how did it make you feel?
Well, you know, I felt good, first of all. You know, I already knew what they wanted me to do, but I felt good that I was able to clean up that years of a mess. And it wasn't the first time. And but you know what happened? Since I wouldn't train her, they tried to give her the credit. You know, oh, so it's cleaned up because so-and-so. But everybody knew. I mean, everybody, even everybody, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. But once I got it all cleaned up, then they let me go. But it didn't matter. You know what happened? The mess came back all over again because she still didn't know how to do what I was doing. And they ended up folding.
Did they?
Mm-hmm. And it was a health system, you know, a health care provider. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, another place I was working for came in, and the young lady was on leave, and I came in, you know, and I learned the job. They showed me how to do it. I learned it, and they was wondering, what in the world, how could I do this job? And the person was on maternity leave, and they wanted me to keep her job because they didn't wondering how in the world am I doing it, and you know, and what is she? And they just couldn't understand. You know what I mean? And when you know, she had to give her job back, so they were going to give me something else. But then once again, a supervisor who was Caucasian found out they wanted to give me this job, you know, and that's kind of how it's been because. I'm a good worker. You know, I can catch on. You know, you show me something, give me a minute, and I can catch on, and then once I got it, I got it. You know, and that's kind of the way it's been, you know, for my family. You show us something, we're going to get it, and when we get it, we got it, and, you know, so, yeah.
So you were feeling pretty, this was the second time this has happened.
Oh, it's happened to me several times, but I don't worry about it. You know, you always give them your best. Always give them your best. You give them your best, and you don't worry about the results. You don't worry about it.
Because it seems like something else has always come along.
Yeah, you're supposed to always give them your best, always, and don't worry about the results. You never worry about the results, never. You know, and that's what I tell people all the time. You just do your best. Leave the rest up to God. You know, leave the rest up to Him. Just do your best. You know.
I like that. Do you feel like racism has impacted the city of East Cleveland?
I'm sure that this city has been passed over, you know, when they should have gotten help. You know, whether it's funding, whatever the help, you know what I mean, that could have been afforded. I'm sure there are, if you look at other cities like East Cleveland and compared to maybe to some other cities that's predominantly Caucasian, maybe with the same issues, I'm sure that, you know, they were slighted, you know, and I don't have any data, but I'm sure that this city has been passed on for whatever reason. You know, I don't know anything about the budget or whatever, but if you go back and look, I'm sure this city has been slighted, you know, for whatever reason. I mean, and that's just the way it's always been.
Do you think that's kind of an American thing?
I don't want to say, I don't know if it's American, I don't want to say.
I'm not going to label it American, but it's been a trend.
It's been a trend since we've been here. We've always been shorted. You know what I mean? I mean, we just think about it. You brought us over here against our will. And you got people that's coming over here that ain't really supposed to be over here. They don't have to pay taxes. We got to pay taxes. They get all these wonderful breaks. We can't get no breaks. You know what I'm saying? All this, you know what I mean? They get holidays and I mean.
You see different neighborhoods, you see different job situations.
I mean, they get so much stuff, and it's like, okay, they get all these benefits or whatever you want to call them, and
Does that make you feel less of a person? Does it make you feel like, why not me?
Well, you know, probably as a child it did, and it probably does for a lot of people. You know what I mean? But it doesn't for me because I'm empowered. You know what I mean? I know who I am and whose I am, and so I have some power, and I know that my my strength doesn't lie in what American or they can give me, because they really can't give me nothing. You know what I mean? Everything I'm going to get is going to come from God. You know, all my grace and my benefits and all that kind of stuff. But see, everybody doesn't have that.
Right, that's
You
what I'm
know,
gonna say.
everybody don't have that. And so everybody needs to feel just as equal as everybody else. Everybody needs to feel that they're just as worthy as everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs to feel like they count. We're all supposed to be equal. We all need to have the same benefits. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's supposed to be treated fairly. We all supposed to get paid the same. All that kind of stuff. That's what America's supposed to be about. But it's not happening. You know, it's not happening. And so how do we make this happen? And you have a few people who are willing to go out and talk about it and speak about it and maybe take some action, but the real people who can make this happen is not doing anything. And then you have, since we got on here, now you have Obama, who is now president, who is trying to make things fair, and then you got these people over here who's doing everything in their power to make him look bad, and all he wants to do is to keep things fair. But now they're going to make him look like a failure just so we can say, oh, we had an African-American president in here, and look what happened. But what they don't know is that God is more powerful than they are, and he's going to get the victory anyhow, and they're going to be sorry. They're going to be sorry, because you don't mess with one of God's people and think you get away with it. Watch the wrath that's going to come their way. Watch the wrath.
Wow. That's true. I can't dispute that. I cannot dispute that. So then this is kind of a related question. How has inequality impacted you personally? You might have answered that again before, but you know, just thinking about inequality, racism and inequality are so closely related, but inequality could be the same race, and you have qualifications and you've been overlooked, or it could be your children or your husband. But has inequality crept into your life at any point?
Inequality? You say inequality. Tell me what you mean.
I mean that something you feel that you were qualified to have happen in your life, but it may not have looked like or smelled like racism, but it certainly wasn't fair.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm sure that's happened to everybody. You know what I mean? And I guess it's the old saying that life isn't fair. You know, and sure what's happening to Obama right now isn't fair. But I can't afford to, you know, harbor on those things. Yes, sure, those things have happened to me, you know, amongst my own people and others. But I take that moment, I look at it. If I have something to say, I say it. You know, you know, I'm pretty outspoken when I have to be. And then I do acceptance. You know, and acceptance don't mean I like it. It simply means this is how it is right now. Right now. You know, this means this is how it is right now. So let's deal with it. You know, and I may or may not can change it, you know, and then I keep it moving. Because if I stay stuck in something that I have no control over, then it's going to keep me stuck, and I can't afford to stay stuck. I can't afford to. You know what I mean? And so we have a lot of people that's stuck, and they're not moving, they're not going nowhere because they're stuck in the situation, and got people right here stuck, and they don't know what to do.
Tell me about your job. This might be a good place to just talk about what you do.
What I do here? Okay. I'm the Director of Prevention Services for the Northern Ohio Recovery Association. And what we do is we go and talk to youth and some adults about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. And we try to hopefully keep our kids off of drugs and alcohol, and to keep them and reduce some of their risk factors. So we go into schools and after schools programs and really talk to the kids and just really try to educate them about the harm.
What age group?
We use kindergarten through 12th grade.
Do you actually go out, or are you?
I started out in the
I know
field.
you're the director, but do you still interact with the?
Yes. I started out in the schools. I started out at, oh my goodness, Chambers, Caledonia, Martin Luther King Civic Center, and Hope Academy. I was doing 20 classes a week. Don't ask me how, because I don't even know. And then, I guess 5 years ago, I got my staff. And so now we're at all the life skills in Cleveland, Ohio, and we're at the Martin Luther King Civic Center.
So you're saying 5 years ago you got your staff. So you were the only one that was representing the organization?
In prevention.
In prevention.
It was just me.
Just you?
Wow. Yeah.
Well, tell me, kind of describe to me what a typical outreach
prevention day for me was like. So, okay, my classes are probably maybe an hour long, so maybe I will go over to, start over at Hope Academy, and I may go over to my kindergarten class. And I will go in and I will talk to the kindergartners, and I love the kindergartners. And they're really dear about, how can you talk to kindergartners about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, right? So I would make up little games for them to play, to teach them about that. So I made up a little box. I got a shoe box, and I cut a little hole in it. And I made up a picture of an apple, fruit, you know, apple, oranges, and so forth. And then I made a pill bottle and put the little poison bottle, you know, sign on it, and then maybe a bottle of bleach and different kind of stuff that was in there, maybe a bottle of alcohol, a can of beer, put all this stuff in the box, okay? And then the game was that you would reach in there and you would pull out something. And then you would have to tell me whether or not you could put it in your mouth. And if you wasn't supposed to put it in your mouth, you would say, not in my mouth. And then if you could put it in your mouth, then you would keep it. And so the little kindergartners, they would reach in there and they would get it and they would look at it and they'd be like, not in my mouth. And it would be hilarious, you know, little fake secret, and they would know. They would know, and then they were like, oh, my mommy smoked these. Oh, my dad gave me some of this. They would tell, they'd be telling. And I was like, oh, I said, well, you know, you're not supposed to have none of that. So you can start them as early as kindergarten.
So so they were very responsive to your message. How did that change by the time you got to the high school class?
Pause here for a second.
Okay.
How did that change for the high school class?
For the high school class, you have to be, of course, more more creative. And so I would create commercials. And to get them more involved, I would create commercial skits and let them interact or read or participate. So one of my biggest things that I would do is I would make up good, what is it? Let me see, it's been a while. Good orderly direction. That we one of the commercials. Another commercial might be gang of violence. Another commercial might be good consequences, bad consequences. What's been around? So many different subjects. Okay. Then they would count off, or you can go be whatever your group you want to be with. Get in your little circle in your group. You plan your commercial. So I would go to each one and I would just give them my idea. For instance, good consequences, bad consequences. Let's do bad consequences. We're going to school one day. And then you decide, or a couple of y'all decide, I'm not going to school. I'm going to cut school and I'm going to hang out. Okay? What do you think? What could be some bad consequences for you not going to school that day? You guys create them. You know what I mean? The other group, you know, you going to school today, you know, what could be something great for you? What's some good consequences that can happen for you for going to school? But you have to write it, you have to act it out. And plan it and act it out, and then on, maybe just going for weeks. And then we have a certain day when we're going to tape it, film it, and everything. And I'll bring my camcorder in, get the signals from the parents and all that kind of stuff. And they will come in with their outfits and everything. Hilarious. And they couldn't wait. They could not wait. The ones that maybe cut classes, they had one of them, they got chased by a dog. The dog bit their shoe off, a hole in the pants. I mean, just all kind of stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? Picked up by the police for truancy and all that. The good consequences was they went to the school that day. They got a surprise visit by some rap artist, and they had free, you know what I mean? Just
creative minds.
But they acted it all out and everything. I mean, just wonderful. And so for me, it was so rewarding because when I would walk into class, Miss Fowler, Miss Fowler, Miss Fowler, they just be, and I'm like, shh, because you know, the teacher would, you know, like, shh. So I would just have, look, just be quiet when I come in, because the teacher would be like, it's not, you know, it's not even time for her to be here yet. They would get a little jealous. Yeah. So they would have to, you know, they just be waiting for me, you know. So it would be so rewarding. And I would walk out the door and I would have the biggest smile on my face.
Do you think, did you have some of the quote unquote bad kids that participated? Well,
you know, for me, because I really don't, I mean, I know they said that, but it's a matter of how you communicate with them. Sure, you have the kids that will try you. And so, for instance, when I had a couple of them, you know what I mean? I would say, you know what? You can stay in here if you want to, but you're going to act like you're supposed to, or you can get out. You know, and it's up to you. You know, you can stay in here for my class, or you can leave and you can go to the office. Sometimes you have to give them that option.
Generally, what would be the response?
Oh, they stay.
They
you know?
Stay.
Oh, yeah.
They straighten up.
Yeah, and I mean, there's one time that I had a young man that I actually had to go eyeball to eyeball, nose to nose. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you get those type of children.
But you had sons, so you knew.
And I mean, I'm the shortest person in my family. You know, my sons are 6 foot something. You know what I mean? My husband is like 6'7". He played pro football, so you know, I look at, you know, so I'm. You know, I look, you know, so he seen I wasn't going to back down, so he understood. You know, so, you know, I love kids. So
do you think, obviously, I can understand the answer, but do you think the program has made a real difference?
In the kids' life? Oh, sure. Wonderful. Oh, yes. I would be at the mall or the grocery store, anywhere, and they'd be, Mommy, this Fowler, dragging their mother over to meet me, and their mother would thank me. And I'm going to tell you something, what really I love. When I did Hope Academy, I did the entire school. That's why I did 20 classes a week. I did the entire, can you imagine that school that had more than one child in there? Maybe had a child in kindergarten, maybe a child in 3rd, 4th grade, whatever. And they were all going home, you know, that week talking about what they learned in my class and telling their parents when they class. And then the motto was to do good. What is it? To do good, you have to be good and think good. I mean, it was just all these positive stuff that I would give them. And their parents were like, oh, that's all they talk about. And the kids would call me Miss Flower, because they couldn't say Miss Fowler. They would say Miss Flower, so that's fine. And their parent would be so happy.
So you planted a lot of good seeds.
I loved it. I loved being out in the field with the kids. I love them. And then I took a bunch of kids on a spiritual retreat, because I do spiritual retreats too for adults and youth. I have a 5013C called Miracles, and I took these kids on a spiritual retreat, and I'll tell you, my phone rang, and their parents called me, and they thanked me, and they thanked me so much. Oh, they just said how much they just, the kids had just changed, and how much it was just, oh, it was something.
Wow.
It was really something.
How many went with you?
Oh my goodness, too many.
So of course you had help. You had your aid.
I had some help, but I think we took 40. The first time and the second time, I think we took 50. Kids wore us out. I mean, 6 o'clock in the morning, I was like, please go to sleep. But it was wonderful.
So the program is Miracles. That's your own.
That's something separate from my job. Yes, I've been doing miracles since 1995.
Did it come out of your church group or just you?
No, that's something that God blessed me with. That's a spiritual retreat that I do. It's called Miracle Spiritual Retreat, and I've been doing it since 1995. I started out with adults, for adults. Yeah. And then...
How do you recruit?
Well, it is for adults in recovery, in any recovery program. So whether it's your church or whatever, as long as you're in a recovery program, you're eligible to participate.
Okay. That's for adults. Now, how did you recruit how did it shift to children?
Parents was asking me, they was like, well, sure, it would be nice if we could have something for our kids, because of course...
You do both?
Yeah, I do both.
You do one for the adults and one for the children?
Well, I do adults twice a year, but after they got to asking me, we need something for our children, and they do, because the children suffer too. So I did it a couple of years for children. But, you know, children can't pay for themselves. Adults can barely pay for themselves, so they really can't pay for their kids. So it made it very difficult. So I did it for a couple of years, you know, out of my own pocket. Probably shouldn't say that. You know, I don't make the kind of money I used to make. You know, before I came here, I made a little, I don't want to say that either. Anyway, you got me.
So what, you got your 501c3? Now that so that prompted you to get the 501c3?
I had the 501c3 when I started Miracles.
Oh, okay. But so you just need people to give to do that tax write-off to your foundation.
Yeah, I don't ask.
You don't ask. And it's hard to do wear all of the hats, right? Yeah,
I mean, it's been wonderful. The adults is self-sufficient because, you know, but and we can always use some help. We do a couple of fundraisers and stuff like that. Of course, I can use more people to help because I really want to get the kids back off and running because they will benefit so much from it, you know what I mean? But I just can't do it all. No. So we have to figure out a way, because that's really one of our goals, is to get our youth back and running, because they've been asking and they really, really need it. And the other thing I would like to do is to get our own camp, our own facility. That's one of my dreams, is to get our own facility.
Well, here's the thing. Do you think inequality could have played into the fact that it's just not a standard practice across the city to have something of that magnitude?
Can you say that again?
Well, you're getting such great success out of a program, and we don't see that program everywhere.
Okay.
So the kids there's lots of people who could benefit from it, but aren't, because you can't be all things to all people.
Right.
So that's an inequality in society.
Okay.
Not providing such a service.
Okay. I got you. So we don't have enough services here.
And that's an inequality. Would you say that was?
But I mean.
In the schools? Any of them?
When, you see, when I came over, I started at the old East Cleveland Straight Talk. When I started prevention over there, when we came over there. And when we came, actually, there was just the secretary answering the phone. And
why is it, do you think, that it hasn't been adopted?
I don't know. I don't know.
societal inequality. Or that you can't get more support. People don't just see and say, well, let's do this. People beg you to be in it, but people don't beg you to support it. People who have.
Right. And so those people who have, you know, where are they? You know what I mean? Where are they? And this is the thing I'm talking about. There's all this. This nation is not poor. We don't have to be in the shape that we're in. You know, even with the loss of jobs, you know, economically, we don't have to be. There's people that are sitting on billions of dollars that knows the condition of this nation, that could do something. So we don't have to be in this shape, but they won't. And so here we are, we have East Cleveland, who can use all kind of help. You know what I mean? And not looking for a handout, but come on, let's build something here that the city could benefit from and that you could benefit from. You know what I mean? Let's build something here. Okay, we have GE, but what else can we build here that can help this city out and you can reap your benefits, get your money back too? What else? What else can you invest in this community so jobs can, you know, and the community can live and refurbish, you know what I'm saying? And
What can you recollect a memory or instance when the community fought for something, the East Cleveland community?
You know, if they did, I probably was too little to remember. You know?
Let me suggest something that might even be closer. Did they fight for Huron Hospital? They did.
Mm-mm.
How about for the post office?
You know, and so, you know, with that being said, because I was really shocked that you know, that Huron Road was gone. And if people lost hope, if people lost their energy, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes people do things, it's just like, you remember the Front Row Theater? You guys remember that? No way should that be gone. No way should that be gone. No way. Why is it gone? Somebody paid a lot of money to get that removed. So what? So our downtown district could benefit again, right? Everybody know that.
Inequality.
Okay. Same thing.
Well, did they fight? Has the city fought for the eradication of so many places that sell alcohol, or have they fought for kids to get off the streets? Do you see that in the city? Because you're here all the time.
Well, that's something that the coalition has been working on. That's something that we've been doing with our coalition.
Coalition is?
The East Cleveland Bridges of Hope. That's one of our tasks. We have, matter of fact, a couple months ago we did, it's not a sting. I don't want to call it a sting because that's not what it is. Can't think of the right word. Where we merged with Euclid in East Cleveland, and we went out to different stores and to find out who would sell cigarettes to minors. And we drove around, and we have a list of stores. And you'll be surprised at some of the stores that sold cigarettes to minors. And we're going to be doing the same thing with alcohol. And we have a list, and the list went out to the county. And they should have been receiving their notices. And
this has just happened recently?
That's one of the things that we did, yes. And so we've been doing that, and we have sent information to, we've done what you call windshield, where we went around and counted the number of retail stores that sell alcohol. We've listed them, and we did that a couple of years ago. So that information has been sent out, and we're waiting to find out what's going to happen with that. That's been sent to Washington.
That was 2 years ago, and you haven't heard yet?
That's what I'm saying. We've done our work.
2 years.
So you ask me, have we been doing anything? So we have been doing some work.
So is Nora and East Cleveland Bridges of Hope, are they sister organizations?
No, East Cleveland Bridges of Hope was founded by Nora, so that's a part of us.
Oh, that's a part of it. I see.
And what else have we done? We had the single sale cigar passed, where they're not supposed to sell single cigarette. We had that legislation passed. We're waiting for it to be enforced, but we had it passed.
How long ago?
Probably about 2 years ago.
So what do you think? Why? Who enforces it?
Well, that would have to be what the City Hall, Police Department.
Washington in any kind of way? Would they be supportive?
I mean, they passed it. It has to happen, and we have to enforce it here. I mean, you know what I mean?
So what do you think is the reason? Do you think that?
Not enough manpower? Because we don't have enough manpower. I mean, look, we have skeleton in the police force. We don't have enough police officers. And then they just laid off some more, didn't they? Didn't they just lay off some more? Yes, they did. And we already did not have enough. And then they laying off some more. And so...
What do you think that's going to do?
Well, we know things are going to get worse.
And summer coming? So, you've been really working hard with NORA. What does NORA stand for again?
The Northern Ohio Recovery Association. And we offer treatment for youth and for adults. We have a treatment program for youth where they can come after school and receive treatment, outpatient treatment. We have treatment.
Is that here in this church?
Not in this building. One of our other buildings right over on May and Lee.
And what kind of treatment do they receive?
For intensive outpatient treatment, for whether alcohol, to drugs, whatever.
Does that mean counseling, or does that mean like?
They receive counseling. They have group therapies. They receive one-on-one counseling, and I think it's like 4 days a week. And it's a really good program. We have a lot of students from the East Cleveland community that participate. And we pick them up in the van and take them home. And we have a women's facility where women can come with their children and live at one of our homes and receive treatment. And you know it's not too many of those at all. As a matter of fact, it's only one other place I think you could come. One other place, I believe, in the city where you can go with your children, I believe.
So, are your roles crowded and overflowing, or?
No.
No. So you see, would you say if you had more manpower, you could make a bigger impact, or do you feel that people are as responsive as can be expected?
Well, more manpower, more money, you know what I mean? Because everything is grant funded, and so we know where the dollars come from. And, you know, they put a big cut in that, and so let's pray that, you know.
Social services.
They could put a big cut in that, you know, big cut in that. Oh, yeah. So let's pray that next year this time I'm still here. But, you know.
My heart is breaking.
Yeah.
How do you keep your spirits up in spite of the pending gloom from lack of funding or such a great need? How do you keep the sunshine in your life?
You know what? It's so funny. I just saw a coworker of mine, and he loves for me to come to work. 6:30, 7:30 in the morning, I come in, I'm singing, and I'm bubbly, and I'm just and happy-go-lucky. He said, "What in the world?" And I was like, you know what? No matter what the outside appearance looks like, you have to know that everything is all right. No matter what the outside appearance, you have to know it. You have to know it. You have to believe it. If you think anything else, you're gonna be doom and gloom. You know what? Everything is all right. You just have to walk with that faith that everything is all right. And then you have to act accordingly. You have to take the actions necessary. Do your part. You know what I mean? I do my part. I do my part, and I leave the rest in God's hand. And I'm only responsible for my platter, because that's what they say I have. I have a platter. You know, I take care of my platter, and, you know, and I trust God, you know, and I leave the outcome to Him. You know, and if it's something else that I could do, you know, let me know. I know they tell me don't volunteer for nothing else, and I really try not to. But if it's something else I could do, I will. You know, I just have hope. I have hope. I have faith. I believe in miracles. I really, really do. I've seen them. I believe in the grace of God. And what I do know is that every time that God's people have been beaten down to their lowest, He has always come up, think about it, and has delivered them. Every time.
So do you see that happening for East Cleveland?
Yes, it can. Sure can. Every time. Every time.
Can part that Red Sea, huh?
Yeah, he's not going to let his people be beaten down. But so long before He delivers them. Yeah. Yeah.
I just have to say in the interview, thank you for that, because it inspires me. It inspires me. Well, how do you feel that the surrounding institutions and cities, have impacted East Cleveland? Good or bad?
Yeah.
Added to or subtracted?
I don't think they've added anything to. I don't know. I don't know any city that has really tried to help East Cleveland. I really can't think of any city that's tried to help East Cleveland.
So related to your work, you know, just not looking at it like East Cleveland getting help, but say your prevention program in East Cleveland has another city said, let me help you over here because we have some resources or
help.
Or have any surrounding institutions offered? Have they, you know?
Everything is grant funded. You know, everything is grant funded. So
Have you, surrounding institutions help the city? You know, taking it even broader. Have you seen anything like that? Well, there's University Circle over there. How do you feel about University Circle?
What do you mean?
Do you go there?
Do I go there? Oh yeah, that's right over the way where I was raised up.
Right.
116th and Wade Park. I go over that way.
Do you go to the institutions?
To the museum? Oh sure. Take the kids over there during summer camp. We take kids over there.
So they're supportive. Do they give you discounts?
I have a little summer camp folder, and it gives you a list of the places that will give you discounts, but it's not because you're in the city of Cleveland. They offer these discounts on certain days to anybody and all that kind of stuff. You know.
Well, I think it's good that you're presenting the cultural arts to your summer campers. Now, your summer campers, I want to ask you, what age group and where do they meet?
at the Martin Luther King Civic Center. And we used to do, I think 8-year-olds to 19 years old. But now we're going to do the 12 to 19 because there's another agency that needs to meet their quota, for lack of a better word. And so we're going to allow them to take the younger ones because we don't need a quota. We don't have to meet a certain number. So we're going to let them get their numbers, and we're going to take the older kids.
So when you take them on, okay, so then they meet at the Civic Center. When you take them over into University Circle, would you say that a lot of times that's their first time venturing into those kinds of institutions?
Oh, my goodness. When we take these kids anywhere, it is their first time, unless they've been with us for a while. And I mean anywhere. You would be surprised. Took them to that Gladiators last year, Indian game, skateboarding, bowling, skating, art museum.
Natural History Museum.
I mean, any of those.
So do you think that has made a positive? I mean, obviously anything is good, but can you, the students that have been with you for several years, can you kind of just see how it has reshaped
their lives? I have one student in particular. We have several actually that's doing really well. A couple of them is at college, but I have one who has been with me for about, I want to say 4 years, and was not doing well at all. But he's an honor roll student. Honor roll student now, and I am just so proud. Just made a 360-degree turn.
Wow.
Will not miss school. I am so proud of him. I mean, you just wouldn't believe it. It's just like, this is what it's all about. This is why we show up every day. This is what we're looking for. You know what I mean?
God is working through you.
Yes. And now, oh my goodness. And I have another one that's at Cleveland State. And she's in her doctorate program. I was like, go on, girl. And she was one of my handicapped students. You know, so she lost her mother right before she graduated from high school. You know what I mean? And a whole bunch of other stuff that was in her way. And
wow. What a wonderful difference.
And I'm telling you, it's like this is what we show up for.
Yeah.
You know? This is
That's great.
Yeah, and so, you know, if your lifetime, if you can just see one miracle, you know, they say we can just help somebody. But when you get to see a whole handful of them, it's like you keep showing up because you want to see more. You know, we always want more, you know, so yeah.
That is so wonderful.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the development of East Cleveland? And we can see that Huron was torn down. That's a big plot of land. We can see that there's no stores, no commerce. But we can see that coming across the bridge, there's some new townhouses. And we hear rumors that people want to move here. You even talked about when people lived here in the mansions. So how do you feel about people coming into the community? How do you feel about that?
It would be wonderful. I would like to see them to rebuild in East Cleveland. You know, they need to rebuild. It's not like it's a dumping ground. You know what I mean? Like it's a land that's lost.
Or that,
it's not.
That you have. It's a closed club where we don't want anybody to come in.
Yeah. It's never been like that. It's never been like that.
But you've seen it change.
Yeah, but it was never like that. You know, it's like not to me, and not that all. I mean, from never that I know. I like, for instance, with Murray Hill, there was a time when you couldn't go. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to go on Murray Hill because I grew up over that way, 116th Way Park. I didn't know, and I would come back to my little piece and like, girl, where you come from? Where you get from? I said, you know, they're like, you ain't supposed to go up in there, and I'd be like, why? I didn't know. I didn't know. You know what I mean? And so, but so I would never knew that I've never felt that.
So people don't want. Some people have said, I don't know who they are, but they don't want people moving in here taking over. What do you feel about that?
Taking over? What is that, a takeover? You better hope somebody come here and refurbish the land.
Yeah. Or the houses that you talked about.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. When I say refurbish the land, refurbish the community. That's what you want. You want people to come in here, you know, rebuild, redevelop the community, rebirth, you know what I mean, so we can live again.
All nationalities?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I love everybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's me.
You wouldn't feel threatened for the city because of that?
No, me. I welcome everybody.
New life, new energy, new money, new everything.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, and I'm sorry if some people like that, but they need to get over it. This is 2013, finna be 14 if you blink your eye. You know what I'm saying? And it's time for that stuff, foolishness, to stop. It really, really is. It's time for it to stop. We're all the same, and they just might as well figure it out. It's time for them to figure it out.
So, how would you, have you had an opportunity to participate? The question reads, would you, I'm skipping a question.
Okay.
Let me go back. We kind of talked about people can move in. The question is, what is your vision for the future of East Cleveland? Do you have a vision?
I would like to see it be reborn again. Reborn again.
Any major issues that need addressing in order to better your neighborhood's community and the city? Any major issues?
Any major issues? Oh my goodness. We got a lot of major issues. Leadership, jobs, development, housing. Of course, I don't want to say gangs because there's no gangs in here. They say not gangs, but we need to do something about these drugs that's rampant through this neighborhood. You know what I mean? And and then allowing people to come in here, just like that mess where they killed them two people up there on that hill, and then, justifying it with minimum concern. I mean, how many times they shot them two little people? And how can you justify that? I don't understand why they're not in prison. Yesterday. For real. Yesterday.
Leadership. Do you feel... Okay, if you had make a wish for a day, make you mayor for a day.
Okay, make me who for a day?
Mayor. Mayor
for a day, okay.
What would you do? What would be the first thing that you would tackle?
Oh, my. Make me mayor for a day. Wipe everybody out. I was mayor for a day. Everybody in the leadership position will wipe them out. I'm talking about with the council people, everybody that work in the mayor office. I clean house. Everybody, I clean house, and I sit down and I think about the proper people to put in place. May call some back, may not, but I'll wipe the slate clean and start brand spanking new. But first, I would get somebody to help advise me, because one person don't know everything. So I would get somebody with more experience to help me make some better decisions, to help me to rebirth this city. Yeah, but I'll wipe them out. Wipe them out, because I always tell people, when you stay away from negative people, stay away from them. You know what I mean? Because they'll draw you in. And then you go on to the next person, you draw them in. And the next thing you know, you got a good hot mess. So just wipe them all out. Give them time to think about it.
All right, Mayor Fowler. All right. So, as Delilah Fowler, would you be prepared to do, what would you be prepared to do to participate in making East Cleveland better? I guess that's your job every day, pretty much, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is there something else that you would do?
If it's something that that they would need me to do, or something that I could do, I mean, I wouldn't mind.
Is there something right now that you wish that you had more time to address?
Something I wish I had more time. Wow.
From where your seat. You're not mayor right now.
Probably not. Probably not. More time to address. Shouldn't say that. I don't know.
Would it be like getting these government agencies to be more responsive to the reports that you've given? Would you increase help?
They said increase help. I want to waste my time, my energy into something that's, I would, I take a look around here to see what I could do, and how could I best serve the community? That's a good question. That's something to think about. Is there anything else that I could do to help East Cleveland? And
maybe it's not something that you have to physically give your time to, but maybe you might want to write a letter to say, take a look at this.
Yeah. We're working on a project. Me and Greg is working on a project. One of the things that we're working on, a couple of things actually, is putting together what we call an umbrella of all of the providers in the East Cleveland community and surrounding suburbs. I don't know if it's still on the board or not. Is it on the board? But he has it all over there. And making a list of them, so whenever there is a need for services in here, we'll have a whole provider of services, and we won't have to wonder who provides this service. And the school, I think, is going to help us with that as well. So we won't lose some of these kids that we're losing, that's falling through the cracks. That's one of the things that we're working on. I forgot what our little name is.
The school district is helping?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. We have Officer Cargile that's on our team, me and Greg, and then Pastor Braxton. Mm-hmm. And so we're like the board, and we're putting together this big umbrella and all these services of different coalitions and all the providers and churches and stuff that's going to help us to put together services for the community, to help us to see if we can just try to get the community to participate and try to save these children and offer services. That's going to help, I think. You know,
Nice.
like whether if you need help with your lights or your gas, or if your children needs tutoring, or kids that have truancy or delinquency, or all of that, whatever the need could be. There's a community agency that should be able to provide that if you have a grandparent that needs whatever. So that's one of the things that we're working on right now.
Be a resource center.
Right, right. And so we've given ourselves a name. It's up there somewhere, IRCS or something like that it's called. And that's what we've been working on for the last couple of months. So we hope to get that up and running. And they have a computer system at Shaw that's going to do all that stuff for us. And so
Nice.
we've been working on that.
Very nice.
So that should be really a real nice asset. I mean, we're excited about that. We're excited about that.
And one last question. What do you think the strength of East Cleveland is?
Probably the people, I would say the people in East Cleveland who still believe in East Cleveland. Mm-hmm.
And I said that was going to be the last one, but do you
Go ahead.
think there's some really, what are the community assets
The community
to
assets.
build on? They hope, but what are the community assets that you think are going to be the pillars that they can build on to turn this thing around?
Probably the history.
The history?
That's what yeah, probably the history is going to be the asset, because it's not too much else here. It's not, if you think about it.
You got land.
Mm-hmm. But, you know.
So there's room.
Right. But you said to build on what's going to get them, you know what I mean? What's going to get them motivated to you know, because that's I mean, the people from East Cleveland that's here, that's working here, that's living here, they have the hope that one day this community is going to be turned around. They are the ones that believe, they're still proud of their community. The ones that's gone, you don't hear them talking about, you know, I'm from East Cleveland. It's the ones that's still here that really have the hope. You know, or for those of us that work here, you know what I mean, that's really trying to help these children, you know, pull themselves up and find a way out, you know.
So that's true. And so that's the core group that is going to be the nucleus to pulling all this together. And so then we've said that you don't mind having people move into the community to help. So that's going to help because they can build on that core group and the hope that they have. What do you think the physical attributes are that would attract them to come? Because let's just say they see that there's a core group of people here. It's a good community at heart. Are there any physical attributes?
Oh,
now?
plenty of room. You can own your own street. You can. Oh my goodness! I brought one of our project officers here, and he said he had never saw such. He had never seen a city in such condition. I drove him up and down the streets because I just wanted him to see.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to see. You know,
But
and
it's a lot of potential.
yeah.
Homes that really could be refurbished. There's the park and there's the library. I'm naming them for you.
Oh yeah. But he couldn't believe it. You know, he just couldn't believe it. And then I showed him my house, the old East Cleveland Straight Talk building. That used to be on the corner of East Cleveland and Elberon. The big brown house, you remember that? 12921? That was my house. I love that house. The bar was on one side and the big old mansion that was on that side. And I would pull up and the little, I don't want to call them winos because that's not nice, but they would be out there and I would come and they would move out my way and I would pull on in the driveway, and if I left my lights on, they would let me know, ma'am, you left your lights on. And then I would come out there with a trash bag to get the wine bottles up and stuff. They say, oh, no, we'll do it because we did it. And they would clean up. Yes, they would. They would clean up. They would look out for me and everything. I loved that house. And they wouldn't even let us buy it.
Who wouldn't?
They would not let us buy it.
The city?
We wanted to buy that house. They wouldn't let us buy it. I loved that house. I loved it. I did not want to move. The furnace went out on it, and yeah, we wanted to buy it. We're not going to buy a brand new furnace for a building that you're not even gonna let us. You know what I mean? Buy. But that was my house. I loved it.
But it was city owned?
Mm-hmm.
So how long ago was this?
This is when Mayor Brewer was in office. They wouldn't let us buy it. And then they tore it down. They just tore it down, what, a couple months ago, 7 months ago? Mm-hmm. No, you could have let us buy it, bought it. It would have been, you know what I mean? But now.
I bet you would have refurbished it. Well.
I loved that place. Everybody thought I was crazy. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
So basically, that is again another demonstration of the fortitude of the people. Even the ones that quote unquote call winos, they care. And they care about people who care.
Yes. They would bring me people over there. Yes, they did. And they tell me, you know what, one day I'm going to come over there and get myself together. I said, I'm going to be waiting for you.
Wow.
And they were so nice to me. Mm-hmm. And I would look out for them, and they would look out for me. Yes, they did. They was, yeah.
That's community.
Yes, it is.
So do you see community coming back?
Mm-hmm.
I have hope too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love it here.
It's going to spread.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's good.
So do you have any last words that, I guess I should ask my partner here if there's anything that you would like to ask.
Thank you, Nancy. I had been listening. Thanks again for letting us interview you. And I've jotted down a number of bullet points and questions and things that I'd like you to follow up on, if you don't mind. Okay. First, you talked about your family name, Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your family originally from?
My original, oh, right here. My, let me see. Now, my great-great-grandmother escaped as a slave, but don't ask me from where, because I don't know. Her and my grandfather, and he told her to keep running, and she got away and he didn't. Mm-hmm.
And that's how they got to Cleveland.
Yes. So I don't know where the Ladd is our Ladd and McBride. So McBride would be my great-grandmother's name. Yeah, let me go back. Aunt George and Uncle George Wagner. That's my aunt and uncle's name. So Ladd would be my mother's name and my grandmother's name, and McBride would be my great-grandmother's name.
And as far as you know, they're Cleveland, and then the story of escaped slave from that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you said that Wagner was a well-known name in East Cleveland. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Aunt George and Aunt Lottie Wagner. See, they went to Calvary Missionary Church on 79th. And I know that he rebuilt part of, not rebuilt, he added on part of a church, part of that church. He did build a room over there. Military, I believe he was Navy. And what else can I tell you? The beverage store that was right across from 12921 Euclid, real good friends with the owner. I don't know if he's still living, that particular owner, but I think you know who I'm talking about. I don't know. Just, you know, just real nice people, and well known on the street. And like I said, even today, and she's 95, I believe, now. And neighbors still come see about her.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, good deal.
Yeah.
And you were born here
in Cleveland.
You were born in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I know you said when you were little,
Mm-hmm.
you stayed so close to East Cleveland, you used to walk to East Cleveland.
116th and Wade, but now not that little, but as I got older, I could walk. On 116th and Wade Park. So that's like right under the bridge. You know how you go up with that little gas station?
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, what brought you into East Cleveland?
My uncle and I.
You'd walk in. Can you tell us about what that was like? I mean, did you like walking into East Cleveland? Did you look forward to it?
I'll go over their house. Oh, they had everything over there. They had pop, candy, junk. And then if I go over there, I'm the only one over there, so I'm spoiled rotten again. So yeah, but see, when they lived, when I used to walk over there, they stayed right under that bridge. And then it's that, what is it? 1, 2, like, it's like a yellow house. They stayed closer before they moved to Windermere, so I could walk over there. And I could walk over there. But when I would go over there, I'm the only one over there. So I get whatever I want, you know, and they didn't have any kids. So.
Would you play with the kids on the street?
Yeah. But they didn't have any kids, so, you know, I get whatever I want. Uncle George give me money, you know, and Lottie bakes, so she bake and cook and, you know. And I'm the only girl, so, you know, yeah.
One of the things I really liked that you talked about was growing up and the neighbors could whip you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what kind of effect you think that had on you personally and kids growing up in that time frame versus now you can't even look at them funny?
You got that right. Wow. You know, it made you behave. It really did, because you knew that when you did something, that if Marie saw you do it, you got a whooping from Marie, and then you knew that when you got home, you were going to get another whooping. And if Marie called Joyce and told Joyce about it, when you went around that corner, if Joyce caught you, you was getting another whooping. And then, you know what I mean? And so you would try to behave. You would try to be good, because that one little incident would cause you to get 3 whoopings, you know? So you would behave. You was more disciplined, you know? And then your pride, you know, of getting whooped in front of all your peers and friends, you know? And so, you know, yeah. And so, I mean, it was so much different then. It was so much different. And I think, you know, back then it was more family-based. You know, people spent more time together with their family. You know, nowadays people working 2 jobs and spending less time with their children, and children having children. And, you know, these children are talking to their parents like they the parents, and I don't understand. You know, I used to say that things change when they started making Similac. That's what I say. When they started making Similac, something happened. That's what I said. That's when kids start going, to me. People say it's McDonald's. I don't know. I say Similac. They just started, it's like a new breed of children. Just something just happened, you know, and that would be my joke, so I'm not saying nothing about y'all for real. But they just changed. They just changed. And I just don't understand it. It's like we lost our backbone. You know what I mean? And so what is the difference between then and now? Well, we know definitely drugs definitely became more prevalent. And that took a lot away from our community, you know. It really did. And I don't know.
I really like that. I can relate to getting a certain sense of humble and humility, because Miss Foster, who lived next door, we would literally beg Miss Foster, please don't tell Mama why she's whooping us, right? Because you didn't want 2. You say, well, if I'm getting 1, just, you know, we would beg her for that. So I appreciate that story. You mentioned about being a military family and most of the males coming through that. Did you ever hear any stories about racism in the military, or any dealings that they had to maybe go through that they came home and were frustrated about?
No. And I'm sure it happened, you know, but I don't like to talk about the military too much. You know what I mean? Once, because we lost an uncle over there, you know, and then, you know, if you watch the war movies and somebody's always getting killed And so, you know, I didn't really want to, you know. And then I had the one uncle that went and he came back with a metal plate in his head. You know, I mean, he's fine, but he had a metal plate in his head. So you know, and so when they was talking about calling for my 2 boys, you know, I wasn't, you know, and even though they're okay, you know, I just think I don't want to hear it, and I don't watch war movies today. I don't. Mm-mm.
Wow. Okay. I remember your story, and I have my own personal stories about Murray Hill. Certainly, during that time frame, about what time frame was that when you were walking, like up the Murray Hill? You were walking from Cleveland into East Cleveland.
Wow. Let me see. Murray Hill. See, I was. My goodness. Probably was in the 80s.
In the 80s?
70, somewhere in the late 70s, 80s on the Murray Hill.
Did you experience any racism?
But you know, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I didn't pay it no attention. If it was, I didn't notice it. You know what I mean?
Where did you get your strength from in regards to, you said things like you didn't let it have you stuck. You didn't let it hold you back. Where do you think you got your strength from to deal with that?
Wow, probably. I want to say maybe my great-grandmother, the one that was the slave. They said I look like her, and then my grandmother, and who had to end up raising her 8 kids by herself, and then my mother, you know, and my dad, he was a pretty tough cookie, you know, and so I think it kind of runs through our family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of wrote down here, you kind of briefly mentioned your husband. What's your husband's name?
Delbert Fowler.
Delbert Fowler. Now, did I hear you correctly? He played pro football?
He played pro football for 7 years. Let me see. He won the Great Cup with Winnipeg, and he played for the Houston Oilers. And don't ask me what year. I think I got this thing in there somewhere.
What position?
95, what he played, tight end. Yeah, he went to Glenville. Yeah.
How'd you meet your husband?
Through a friend. A friend of his introduced me to him.
After been married for 10 years?
It'd be July 26th. I think that's the right date to be 10 years. I know.
Congratulations.
On camera.
Oh.
One of our questions that are approved by the RRB has to do with the turnaround in East Cleveland. And I know you mentioned growing up walking in East Cleveland, what it looked like, and then you mentioned businesses leaving, residents leaving, drugs. Is there anything else that you feel contributed to the downfall of East Cleveland?
Well, yeah, the people begin to move out. As the African Americans moved in, the Caucasians began to move out, or the Caucasians moved out, and then the African Americans moved in. You know, yeah, and then of course, and the jobs left with them, and I mean, even this church here, you know, this church was Caucasian, and when they began to take African American members, they left.
I gotta beg you to kind of help me with that, because we're changing people for color, and so I'm trying to. It went down. What was it about the African Americans that made it kind of?
That made the people leave?
Not necessarily leave, but it seems like you were saying it was here when the white people were here, and then as they began to leave and black people began to come in, the community, the city, and things just kind of so.
The money left when they took their money and they left. The jobs left, You know, the quality of the retail stores left. You know what I mean? Everything left. When they left. And then you begin to get I don't want to say the little mom and pops. I don't want to call them mom and pops. I don't know what to call them. But you begin to get, you know, these stores that's on the corner that charge you 10 times of what the price of stuff is, with, you know, selling you 2 weeks old stuff, and you know what I mean, and just everything. They took their money, they took their, and they just left. They took everything with them and they left.
So when and I hate to put like words in your mouth, but it almost sounds like you're saying, so when the blacks came in, they did not replace the money or the stores or.
No, I mean, when they moved in, as the African Americans or blacks moved into East Cleveland, you know, they came in and they were able to purchase homes, you know. But that's probably all they were able to do was purchase homes. And then they were working wherever they worked at. They, you know, they didn't have monies to go and open up maybe the gas station that was there, or open up the cleaners that maybe was there, and you know what I mean?
Resources.
Right, resource. So, you know, so you had a city that was once a thriving city, you know, and now, you know, the resources were just, so everything was gone. And it's sad that fear, because that's what it was, fear of another person or another nationality, you know, would cause you to do that. And you know, and it's really because you just don't understand. You know, that's really all it's about. You know, and it's sad because you're not born that way. Somebody teaches you that. Do you know that? That's sad. You're taught that. You're taught that. That's taught behavior. You know, you have no way at all whatsoever. That's taught behavior. And how sick and how sad is that, to teach somebody not to like somebody, or to teach somebody that you're better than somebody, or you're different than somebody, or that's so sad because it's not true.
That's right on point. We've heard so many stories in which African Americans will be working somewhere and then be more or less forced to train Caucasian to take their place. And I know you said it happened to you personally, and there were other instances or other stories you said you could tell. Now, would you mind sharing one of those stories with us, if you have a story in which there was actually some drama that happened?
Well, the one I got fired from, because I wouldn't. I guess enough drama right there, isn't it? Well, yeah, I got fired.
Anything confrontational? Any, like, exchange?
Of words? Not really. I guess I do. I guess, let me see. Not so much confrontational. I guess I'd use another excuse. Our floor was under construction, and the lobby's area was, and so I would bring clients, you know, back to my desk, back to the office, you know, and for whatever reason, they didn't want us to bring the client back to our desk. But how are you going to have them sitting out in the lobby with construction and stuff going on? But you could bring a Caucasian person back to your desk, but I can't bring an African American person back to my desk. And so, you know, I You do it, I can do it. We all, you know, ain't no different to me. We all the same. And so she Caucasian supervisor, you know, chewed me out about it. And she asked me did I had a problem with it. And I said, yeah. She said, okay, well, you fired. You can get your stuff and go. And I was like, okay. And I got my stuff and I went. Because I definitely had a problem with it, you know. How you going, I mean, and I had a couple of friends that worked there, and my girlfriend was so angry that she left when I left. She told me she had to go home sick, because she couldn't believe it. She could not believe it, you know what I mean? And they thought she was crazy. But she, you know what I mean? And she couldn't afford to quit her job, but she was just so angry that how in the world, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, and I didn't say it nasty. I just said, yeah, I do have a problem with it. You guys been bringing Caucasians back here all day long because you don't want them sitting out here in the lobby under constructions with dirt and sawdust and board and everything. And I bring African American back here so they can get the same treatment they've been getting. And I get chewed out about it. And you ask me, do I have a problem with it? And I say, yes, I do. And I'm not saying it nasty. And you said, well, okay, you're fired. You get your, you know. So, yeah.
And I'm taking it this is pretty much in the same line of work.
That's for a health agency.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when we look at racism and inequality, as you stretch out, say you were at the health and what did you go to college for again, please?
What God only knows. I don't even know.
Okay, so in your tracks for employment in the medical health care, do you think that racism and inequality impacted that in any kind of way? Like that's where you were and dealing with all that, go play basketball or something.
No. So in other words, you may go do something different. That wasn't what I was supposed to be doing anyway.
Okay. So your career change wasn't as a result?
No, because that was working with documents and, you know what I mean? I'm a people person. I'm supposed to be with people. I'm supposed to be touching people's lives, you know. I'm supposed to be touching people's lives. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. Took me a long time to get here, but I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
I admired the story of how you were doing a lot of what you do now by yourself without a staff. How did you actually get started?
Into doing prevention?
Yes.
Our director, Anita, called me up one day and said that she was applying for this grant, and if she got it, would I take it? Would I take a part-time position? And I was working full-time for the board, and I said, okay, you know, as Cuyahoga County coordinator, and that's coordinating recovery services, you know, for Cuyahoga County. I said, okay. And because I put on events, I'm an event planner, you know, I do that kind of stuff. I said, all right. And so 2 years later, she got the grant, and she called me in, and so I started working, you know, putting on different events in the recovery community. And we had a young lady that was supposed to be doing prevention for the agency, and she wasn't doing very well, and they asked me to come in and assist her, you know, with doing it because she wasn't doing too good. So I came in during like winter break and started working with her, and, you know, trying to get things up and running to find out what was going on, you know, to get things together. And 2 weeks later, she quit. You know, had found her another job, I guess. She had found another job. And so, like, asked me, could I do it full time? And I was like, okay. You know, and that's kind of how I started. And I, you know, I kind of liked it. And so I had left the board and came on full time. Took a cut in pay, and $15,000 cut in pay. I know, but.
It's your purpose.
Yeah, but Yeah.
Now, I kind of want to go back to this a little bit.
Okay.
The time when the city fought for something
Okay.
collectively, can you think of anything that the city came together on and fought for?
I mean, if they did, I probably was a little kid. I mean, since I've been working in this, since 2004 or 5, since I've been here working, I don't remember anything. I really don't.
Okay, you're not going to give city credit for the hospital or the post office.
Did they fight for it? I don't know if they fought for it. I mean, I heard a few people talking about it, but I don't know if they fought for it. I know they made a settlement.
Okay.
But I don't know if they really, fought for it. I know that we were very disappointed that it was leaving. I know I was, and I was really disappointed that Cleveland Clinic, closed it because I didn't feel like they had to, and they didn't have to. They have billions of dollars. There was no reason for them to do that.
Right.
It really wasn't a reason for them to do that. It really wasn't.
Okay.
What was really the point, and what is really the point? Because they have billions of dollars. So really, really, what's the purpose? Okay, you put Stephanie Tubbs there, but what was really the purpose of closing that? For real,
Okay, I agree with you. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
In your response. To
Yeah.
that. When we think of racism and inequality, and in particular to surrounding cities and institutions, if we looked at, say, a Cleveland Heights, and over the years, new police station, new Severance, new community center set on Superior and Mayfield, and when you think of Murray Hill, the new developments that they put over there, when you think of UCI, University Circle, when you think of University Hospital, Case, and the tons of money. Do you think that, and the question, how has surrounding institutions or cities impacted East Cleveland? Now, this could be a positive or negative or neglect.
Well, sure, this community has been neglected. That was one of the things I had mentioned earlier. I mean, there are so many entities that could help this city. Why aren't they? I mean, if this was right next door to me and people had to go past me one way or the other, I would want to help. You know what I mean? It's a reflection on them too. It really is. Why wouldn't I want to help? You got billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. All of those entities. You got people that's come from this community visiting all of those. Why wouldn't you want to help? I mean, what's the purpose? What do you want to do? You want to flatten the land so you can buy that too? I mean, what?
Yeah.
I mean, you're buying everything else. What? Is that what's going on?
Why do you think that they have been, East Cleveland's been neglected by these surrounding cities and institutions?
Well, is it because it is African American? Poverty stricken? Is it because there's tons of land and they're waiting for it to be totally abandoned so they can flatten the land and see who claims it first and build the next whatever? I mean, you know what I mean? And if they was really smart, the first one that rescues the city would probably be the hero. They were really smart,
Because it's often been an argument that University Circle has run out of room, and that's why they put up the new housing there on Lakeview. They've run out of room. You can't go because Cleveland Clinic's down that way.
So they coming this way, huh?
That's the argument that I've heard different, circles. And I wanted to mention, I really like your effort here to build a resource bank, because being involved in the community, I know of a number of other organizations that are trying to help out the city, and I've always had that, can't we somehow link them or work together towards the same goal?
Wonderful.
So, and it sounds like that's what you're trying to do.
Exactly. Here. We have a list of, we've asked Carl Gall to give us all that he has. We've asked Murders Taylor, Say, a number of agencies. We've sent out emails to all the agencies that we know of, asking us, please send us your information. Whatever you provide, give it to us. And we're going to have a whole listing, a book that we're going to print out and send to everybody. If you know of any, send it to us. And we're really nice. It's going to be a database and everything. And when we get finished, you want to flip through that stuff, you can see some of the stuff that we have. And you want to add some more stuff to it, you know, write it on the board. And yes.
That's excellent, because Greg and I are actually on a few boards together.
Okay, good.
And we've been talking about the flavored tobacco.
Yes.
About getting legislation around that. So
okay.
We're kind of excited.
Okay.
It's good to hear that you guys already had this one passed about the
single sale cigars. Yeah, we did that. Yeah, he'll tell you a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That about does it for me with the questions.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Nancy.
Well, I just want to thank you. You really have inspired me.
Thank
you.
You.
And I appreciate your honesty and openness about all the things that you share.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Now that it's over.